The Way In, Episode 4, The Second Door, Chapter 1, Preparation.
Mara, predators are easiest to study when they believe they are safe. That is the first rule. The second rule is harder to accept. You can't rush them. If you chase a predator before you understand its pattern, all you do is teach it how to hide better. You force it to adapt before you have learned enough to predict what it will do next. Once a predator realizes it is being hunted, the advantage disappears. They become careful, quiet, and unpredictable. So I don't chase the intruder who entered my mind. Not yet. I prepare. It's Friday night, and that matters more than it should. Weekends create gaps in routine, and gaps in routine create cover. If something happens to me over the next 48 hours, no one at DIA will immediately notice my absence. My calendar is clear. My therapy appointment at the VA isn't until next week. My father lives close enough to worry if I disappear for too long, but far enough away that he won't notice if I go quiet for a couple of days. My mother is 1,400 miles away in Houston and used to long stretches where our lives don't intersect. For the first time since this began, I have room to set the board. I strip the apartment down to the things I'm willing to risk losing. Work devices go into a locked case in the hall closet. My laptop is cleared of anything sensitive. Passwords changed. Accounts logged out. If the man inside my head wants access to something valuable, he will have to go looking for it somewhere else. And if he goes looking, I'll be watching. I leave a notebook open on the kitchen table with a pen beside it and a glass of water within reach. My keys sit in the bowl by the door where they always sit. Nothing about the apartment looks staged. Everything is exactly where it would normally be. Predictability is a weapon. Tiger watches me from the couch while I move through the apartment like I'm preparing for an inspection. His eyes follow me across the room, but he never gets up. When I finally sit down at the table, he stretches once and settles back into sleep. I envy the simplicity of his world. I review my notes again. Left-hand dominance. Southern cadence. The phrase "stay open." Burner phones. Daniel's voice echoes in memory. There are others. It would have been easier if I could have interviewed him before they relocated him. After the murder charge, he was transferred to a federal holding facility outside Washington, while investigators sorted out the financial crimes tied to his case. 2 hours by car. Close enough for questions nobody else wanted to ask, but because he wasn't in the vicinity of where his episode took place, it felt as though he was too disconnected from the event to be much help. But on the other hand, his proximity to me makes him accessible if I need to speak with him again. He said something curious the last time. Besides, there are others. He also said something like, "The first time it happens, you're a passenger. The second time, you're a participant. The first time that it happened, I was ambushed. This time, I'm laying bait." I lean back in the chair and allow the doubt to return. Did the shooting overseas happen the way I remember it? Did I miss something? Did I act too quickly? The question is enough. The pressure begins behind my eyes, and this time I let it. Chapter 2. The Unlocked Door. Mara. The room shifts first. Objects appear slightly farther away than they should be, and my breathing slows without my permission. My arms feel heavier, like gravity has quietly increased its hold on my body. Then my left hand moves, just a few inches at first, sliding across the surface of the table before the chair pushes back and my body stands. The movement is smooth, confident. The first few minutes are always the strangest. Not because of what he does, but because of what he doesn't do. He doesn't rush. He doesn't stumble. He doesn't behave like someone forcing his way into another person's body. He behaves like someone stepping into a familiar room. My hands move slowly across the table, flexing fingers, rotating wrists, testing the reach of my arms. The movements remind me of an athlete stretching before competition. Controlled, evaluative, methodical. He lifts my right hand first and studies it carefully, turning the wrist slightly under the kitchen light before repeating the same motion with the left. The pattern is unmistakable. The left hand leads. The right follows. He taps my fingers against the tabletop as if checking reflexes, measuring how quickly thought becomes motion. I feel the intention forming just before the movement happens, like standing behind someone about to walk through a doorway. I can see everything he does, but I am no longer the one doing it. He walks to the living room window and studies my reflection in the glass. Interesting, he murmurs softly. The word again. Interesting seems to be his response to anything unexpected. He moves through the apartment slowly, examining everything. The bookshelf, the photograph of my father and me, the stack of unopened mail on the counter. He's profiling me. Disciplined, he murmurs. The southern cadence is clearer tonight. He didn't know who I was before entering my mind. He's learning now. The first time this happened, I thought the man inside my head was improvising. Tonight I realize something worse. He's evaluating the equipment. Chapter 3: The Drive. He searches Daniel Hargrove's name on my phone first, scanning news articles and court updates quickly. He's checking the case, confirming that nothing has changed. After a minute, he sets the phone down and picks up my keys. The realization hits me hard. He isn't limited to my apartment. He can go anywhere. While this wasn't unexpected, I'm not sure how prepared for it I am. The door opens, and cool night air hits my face as he steps outside. I am surprised I can feel sensation when I'm not in control. I didn't notice that the first time. My body moves toward the car with quiet confidence. Streetlights stretch across the windshield as we pull into traffic, the empty roads glowing under sodium yellow lamps. He drives like someone trained to watch mirrors. Calm. Efficient. A state trooper sits beneath an overpass. My pulse jumps. His doesn't. Patrol never mattered, he mutters quietly. A few miles later, he speaks again. Quantico teaches patience and calm under pressure. The word lands heavily in my mind. Quantico. Training. Law enforcement. The man inside my head wasn't just studying criminals. He was one of the people trained to find them. The city thins as we drive deeper into residential neighborhoods. Older buildings, dim parking lots. Apartment complexes built decades ago and maintained just enough to remain standing. He slows near one of them, then parks and waits. Across the lot, a man moves through a second-floor apartment, with a drink in his hand, white shirt, loosened tie, restless pacing. The intruder inside my head leans forward slightly, watching, studying, waiting, like a hunter who has finally spotted something worth following. And in that moment, I realize something that chills me more than this intrusion itself. He didn't enter my mind just to use my body. He entered it to continue the hunt. Chapter 4. Stalking Prey. The apartment complex is older than most of the buildings around it, the kind of place that looks like it has been standing quietly for decades while everything around it slowly changed. The brick is faded by weather and time, the balconies narrow and enclosed by rusting railings that probably haven't been replaced since the building was constructed. It is the kind of place people stay because moving somewhere better requires time, money, or energy they don't currently have. My body sits in the parked car across the lot, still, watching. The man inside my head studies the second-floor unit the way a scientist studies a specimen under glass. There is no urgency in his movements, no impatience. If anything, the stillness feels deliberate, like he is allowing the moment to unfold exactly the way he expected it would. The man inside the apartment moves back into view carrying a glass of amber liquid. Whiskey, judging by the color. He takes a long drink before setting the glass on the counter. His white shirt is wrinkled now, his sleeves rolled up unevenly. The loosened tie still hangs around his neck, though it looks like he forgot it was there. The details matter. They always do. The man checks his phone. His shoulders tense slightly as he reads something on the screen. Then he exhales slowly and rubs his face with both hands. The voice inside my head murmurs quietly. Visible. The word lands with quiet certainty, like a label being attached to a file. The man pours another drink. His movements are quicker now, less controlled. I can see clear enough that I imagine the clink of the bottle as he grazes the glass and the hollow thump as he places the bottle back on the counter. I'm not sure how this is so vivid to me, but it's like I'm there standing next to him. He drinks too quickly. Pressure, the voice inside my head says. Not emotional. Analytical. The man begins pacing across the apartment. Kitchen, living room. Back again. He checks his phone once more, reads something, and this time throws it onto the couch. Not hard enough to break it. Just hard enough to release frustration. The voice inside my head speaks again. Vulnerable. My stomach tightens. The pattern is unfolding exactly the way it did with Daniel. Not identical, but close enough to recognize. The man stops pacing. He sits heavily on the couch. For nearly 30 seconds, he does nothing but stare at the floor. Then the voice whispers the final word. Vacant. Visible. Vulnerable. Vacant. The 3 V's, a system. A method. A checklist. I realize something in that moment that chills me more than the possession itself. This man isn't observing people randomly. He's evaluating them. And the moment someone meets all 3 conditions, they become a target. What could possibly be so interesting about this particular subject? I wait behind glass to find out. Chapter 5. The Call. The gas station sits 2 neighborhoods away from the apartment complex. It is brightly lit and mostly empty, the fluorescent canopy humming quietly over the pumps, while a single delivery truck idles near the convenience store entrance. My body steps out of the car and walks toward the store with calm, unhurried confidence. The man inside my head still moves like someone who has done this many times before. Inside the store, he purchases a prepaid phone and a bottle of water using cash from my wallet. The cashier barely looks at him, scanning the items automatically before sliding them across the counter. People rarely notice what they aren't expecting to see. Outside, beneath the harsh white light of the canopy, he opens the packaging with quick, practiced movements. Battery, backplate, power. The phone boots up. He dials immediately. Again from memory. No contacts list in a new burner phone. No trace. No hesitation. He doesn't look at the phone as he dials, so I can't see the numbers. So I focus on the rhythm of the inputs instead of the numbers themselves, memorizing the pattern of pauses between presses. Patterns survive stress better than details. There was a time when a tone identified a number pressed, but these are modern times with modern technology. Tone tells no tales. I will have to find another way to get the number he is calling. The call connects after 3 rings. A voice answers on the other end, but I cannot hear the words clearly. The man inside my head speaks first. Carver was wrong. A pause. No. Not weak. Another pause. Structured. The word echoes through my thoughts. Structured. The voice on the other end responds again, longer this time. The man inside my head smiles faintly. Quantico made them believe discipline changes the outcome, he says. My pulse spikes. Quantico again. The voice continues speaking. Then the man inside my head laughs quietly. I'm amazed she opened again. Me. He's talking about me. He still believes I'm broken. That's good. The ruse is working. The voice on the phone asks something sharp enough to change his expression. His jaw tightens slightly. I said I'll handle it, he replies. Another pause. No, I'm not bringing this one in yet. Bringing this one in. The phrase repeats in my mind. In where? The call ends. The man inside my head removes the battery from the phone immediately, snapping the device into pieces with practiced precision before dropping the components into separate trash bins. Nothing left intact. Nothing traceable. Then he returns to the car. For a moment, he sits there in silence. Then he smiles faintly. Interesting, he murmurs. That word again. He and I look at my reflection in the rear view mirror together. And then he starts the engine. Chapter 6. Suspicion. The drive back is quieter. The man inside my head speaks less now, which somehow makes the silence more unsettling. The city feels emptier at this hour, the traffic lights cycling through their colors even when no cars are waiting at the intersections. He takes a different route back toward my apartment. 2 extra turns. A loop through a quiet commercial district. Another change in direction. He's checking for tails. Old habits, I'm assuming. At a long red light, he becomes completely still. hands resting lightly on the steering wheel. Eyes fixed on the rear-view mirror. It's an eerie feeling to be looking at myself while someone else is looking through my eyes as well. I feel the tension instantly. He senses something. Did I give myself away? Not awareness, not exactly. But something about tonight is different. Something about the way my mind sits behind his control. For one terrifying moment, I think he's going to find me. My instinct is to react, to anchor, to push back. But I don't. Discipline keeps me still. Panic is a loss of control, and my control exists to allow for his control. I remain perfectly quiet inside my own head, watching, waiting. I feel the need to hide behind something so as to not be found. But I can't. That place doesn't exist in my mind yet. Something I will have to learn, if it is even in the realm of possibilities to do. I'll have to do some research. But right now, I need to be still and focused. His eyes remain on the mirror for several seconds. Then he exhales slowly. No, he murmurs. A small shake of my head. Not yet. Arrogance saves me. He believes whatever he felt belongs to the fracture itself, not the person behind it. The car turns into my apartment complex parking lot just after 1 a.m. My body walks inside the building and up the stairs without hesitation. Tiger is waiting on the couch when we enter the apartment. His eyes are open, watching. The man inside my head pauses when he sees him. Animals notice, he murmurs quietly. For a moment, I think he might test the idea. But he doesn't. Instead, he walks back to the kitchen table and sits down exactly where I had been sitting before the pressure began. My hands rest on the surface. The room becomes quiet. Then the sensation changes. The pressure behind my eyes begins to fade slowly, like a tide pulling back from the shore. The delay disappears. My fingers twitch. Breath sharpens. And suddenly, I'm back. He probably assumes I will become flustered when I see that so much time has passed, and I don't recall anything since I originally sat down. But he would be wrong, because I know exactly what has taken place. Chapter 7. The next morning. I don't sleep. Even after the presence leaves, my body refuses to settle. Every time I close my eyes, I see the apartment balcony again, the man pacing with a drink in his hand, while the quiet voice inside my head labeled him like a specimen. Visible, vulnerable, vacant. By the time the sky begins to lighten outside the window, I'm already dressed and standing by the door. Tiger watches me from the couch as I grab my keys. You stay here, I tell him quietly. He blinks once, then curls back into sleep. The drive is easy to retrace. I memorize the route the same way I memorized extraction paths overseas. Turns, landmarks, distances between intersections. Memory built under stress tends to hold. Within 20 minutes, the apartment complex appears ahead of me. Like everything else that you see at night for the first time, it looks different as the sun washed the exterior with daylight. 3 stories. Brick walls faded by years of weather. The same rusted balcony railings. I park across the street and wait. From here, the second-floor unit is visible through a gap between two trees. The red ceramic planter still sits on the balcony rail. After several minutes, the sliding door opens. The man steps outside with a phone pressed to his ear. White shirt again, different tie. He looks exhausted, more than exhausted. Worn down, pressure. The first stage. I watch long enough to confirm something important. He lives alone. Isolation. Another condition predators prefer. I see him pour some whiskey into his coffee cup as he speaks into the phone. I can't hear him, but judging by his facial expression and his abrupt gestures, he is angry. I can barely make out words as his voice crescendos. I can make out the words traitor, loose cannon, and a few expletives. I track his movements through the window as he moves from the balcony to the kitchen, where he places his cup in the sink. From there, he heads to the front door, but on his way out, I notice something that has me gasping for air. He grabs a badge and a holstered weapon and flies out the entrance to his apartment in a flurry of movement. This man that we were stalking last night is law enforcement. Now what? Think, Mara. Should I approach him, follow him, or wait to see if another stalking session happens tonight? I make the decision to open the door again to find out. Because if I'm right, this man is next. Chapter 8. The name. Back home, the apartment feels different. Not unsafe, just watched. Tiger lifts his head when I come through the door and stretches lazily before walking to the kitchen to inspect his food bowl. I sit at the table with my laptop and open the notebook beside it. The name is written across the page. Carver. It's the only real lead I have. Is the man we were stalking Carver? So I start digging. Public records first. News archives. Law enforcement conference transcripts. Eventually, something appears. A picture. A name and title. Special Agent Thomas Carver. FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit. Active. Quantico. Profiling. For a moment, I believe I've solved it. Maybe this was someone the intruder worked with. Maybe Carver knows the man inside my head. But the answer settles too easily. Answers that arrive this quickly are usually wrong. And in this case, I didn't have enough answers to go to this Carver and ask questions. Still, Carver knows something. And that means I'm closer than I was yesterday.
Chapter 9. Nathaniel. Most minds collapse quickly. Pressure does that to the human brain. People like to believe their identity is something permanent, something stable that cannot be changed by outside forces. But identity is only a story the brain tells itself repeatedly. Change the conditions around that story and the narrative begins to unravel. I have watched it happen hundreds of times. The first stage is resistance, then doubt, then fracture. Most people break quickly once the doubt begins. Mara Vale did not. That makes her interesting. When I entered her mind, I felt the structure immediately. Discipline layered over discipline, the kind of mental architecture built by soldiers and intelligence officers who spend years preparing for interrogation. Those minds last longer. They reveal more. I'm surprised how much easier it was for me to break through this time. Almost too easy. I need to be wary of this and not let ego drive my actions. I'm not afraid of her backseat driving. I'm worried I will leave clues she can find later. I must be more thorough. Be patient. Take the time to understand her so that when the time comes, she will be ready. Observation creates confidence. Confidence creates vulnerability. I may need to push a little harder next time. Soon she will learn what every host eventually learns. The mind is not a fortress. It's a house of cards, stacked neatly over time and built with emotional experiences. All one needs to do is take the right card and the rest come crashing down. So, until my mission is complete, I will study the architecture and make minor adjustments as I go. Just to be safe. When the time is right, her house of cards will fall. But for now, she will help me in my next task. Getting rid of my old partner, Agent Carver.
You've been listening to the psychological thriller, The Way In, Episode 4, The Second Door. If you're interested to find out what happens next, episodes arrive weekly. So smash that follow, like, and subscribe button to get notified when the next one drops.